Howdy folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. Man, it is a hot July day today. It's in the 90s. It's not too bad under this mimosa tree here though, keeping me in the shade. Today we're going to get into a couple of hives. We're going to do a couple things. So I've done 2 cutouts and both of them have absconded for whatever reason. I don't know. The first one, I don't know if I got the queen or not. I was in a crawl space under a house. It was maybe that tall. And I had to wiggle my way through there, and I just sucked up what I can and got the, all of the bees out of there for the folks that I took it out of there for. And I brought it back. I didn't put an excluder over the entrance, and the next day they weren't there. So, but it was very small. They hadn't been there long. The second one was a lot bigger hive, and I had about a half a basket of bees in my bee vac. And I set it up over here. It's the one on the end there, next to the huge swarm. And I had been monitoring the entrance, and they were coming and going. They looked okay. It wasn't robbers. And I looked at it yesterday, and there was nothing going on. So I popped the top, real easy because I didn't have my suit on, and peeked in there, and it's empty. So I don't know what happened. Also, a few days before that, I was walking by the huge swarm late in the evening, and I heard bees on the ground, and I looked around and I saw them, and there were two clumps about that big of bees on the ground. So I thought maybe I had a couple of little swarms with a couple of little queens in there. So it was getting dark, so I got 2 nukes out, set in front of them, and got them marching in there. And I set them up over here where I set up some of my nukes. And one of those is still there. The other, I don't know what happened. It was gone the next morning. So what I'm going to do today is hurry up and quit talking. So I'm going to get the frames that I rubber banded out of that second cutout I did. It was pretty good sized. There were about 8 or 9 pretty good sized combs, and I kept most of the brood and put 2 frames of honey in with them. So I'm going to get those out and put it in with this 2019's tiny swarm over here, because it's not very many bees and they can use that comb. So let's get started. I know I mentioned it in a prior video, but beekeepers, when you're out there in your suit and it's hot, you need to stay hydrated. Heat stroke and dehydration sneaks up on you fast. So I chugged down about half of this, I think it's a quart, before I even get out there, and I'll take breaks and drink and come sit in the shade. And if I feel like I'm hot or getting tired, I go back to the house. I can't continue on, so I don't want to fall over out here and croak off with my bees. So stay hydrated, people. Okay, you might be wondering why I brought my smoker. The reason is I want to look in this huge swarm and see how much honey they got in this second super here. So this hive was a huge swarm, and I got it out of a tree directly behind the camera there. It was so big I put it in 2 deeps, and they filled this honey super. They filled out all the boxes in a matter of 3 weeks. Then I put this second super on there. And since there's so many bees in it, I put a screen top on it, help them with ventilation. You notice they're not bearding much. Not a whole lot of bees on the front compared to some of my other hives that don't have that screen. So I see drawn out comb from, this is a 9 frame box. Well, here, I'll just bring it over there. So this frame here is partially drawn on that side. The outside is empty. This one looks fully drawn. So does this one. And this one. You can see my finger there. This one. This one. And this one is half done probably. So let's pop out a couple of these next to the one on the end and see if they're all capped. Man, it is hot. I need to work fast. I'm in direct sunlight right now, and I can feel it. Yeah, completely drawn out. They had a wonky comb built between this one and the other frame. That's why that little piece there is dripping. So it's kind of bridged across. And this one, the half that's done, is completely capped. So that's what we're looking for on this honey is it capped or not? Because we are getting ready to do our harvest. This is July 5th. You may not see this until middle of July, end of July, I don't know. I do have a day job for those folks that mention that some of my videos aren't very timely. I apologize. Yeah, that frame is ready to harvest. So there's honey pouring out down there. So I guess I broke off a little bridge right there. So there'll be bees on that honey, so I need to set this down slow and wiggle it so they get a chance to get out of there. Otherwise they'll be entombed in a honey bridge. All right, I am burning up. Let's get out of this thing. We'll get over into this cutout hive and see how they propolis this all around the edge. I wonder if eventually they would propolis it shut. So they go in and out this entrance hole right here if they want to use that top, and it's vented on the sides. And I picked that up at Man Lake. You can probably make you one pretty easy. All right, let's get it down here. All right, let's have a peek. So there's a wax moth larva. Die. Okay, these are basically new frames with plastic foundation. So that's ate up with wax moth larvae. I don't know. That's probably not why they left. So those are wax moth larvae. You can tell because they have a black head. Small hive beetles don't have the brownish black head on them. So these frames are stuck together with a web. So I'm not going to put these in that tiny swarm nuke if they're full of, oh man, it's just ate up right there. So this has happened after the fact. Well, I say that, maybe not. These two are just stuck together. Look at that web. That's filthy disgusting. And it stinks. So at one time these were all covered. I know they were. This was a brood frame. There's some pollen. So I don't know what happened. And I know I did have the queen. I saw her. Okay, so my plan to go over and put these frames into that tiny swarm hive. Can't do that. These are infested. So these need to go to the freezer and kill those wax moth larvae Down in here I see baby bees. I don't see any dead bees, adults. So some of the bees hatched out, fell down here. There's a lot of pollen laying in here. Probably when it was robbed, I bet it was robbed out of all the honey. So the two outside frames, well, I don't know which ones they were, but they were honeycomb. So they had honey, pollen, brood, and a queen and a half of a basket of bees for my vacuum. So another thing that might have happened is they're next to this really strong hive. They may have started crossing over when they come in and getting in here, and they found all that open honey, and they may have attacked this. I don't know, but I never saw robbing. It always looked normal on the front. So who knows? Bees, what are you going to do? All right, so let's go over and take a look at that tiny swarm and see what condition it's in. Okay, here are the two nukes. The one facing us is the one that was empty the next morning. So, and I did have excluders across the front. This little plastic excluder. So that tells me there wasn't a queen in there in the one that left. So let's get in here. See what we can find. There are bees coming and going out the front. Not very many. There's like one frame of bees in here. Probably will not need the smoker. So these two frames are blank, and I see bees right here and 2 or 3 right there. So I'm thinking we've got us a queen in here. Normally where I set the camera, it's a big old drop off. So let's see if we can find a queen in here. And another thing about this hive here is they don't have any comb. No queen there. So they are starting to draw it out a little bit. So we're not in the nectar flow right now. I think this frame here that I fixing to pull out had a little bit drawn on it, but just very little. And it had a little bit of honey on it too. And I don't see a queen there. There's no eggs. So here's what we got going on. And they're making a little supersedure cell right here. So there's nothing in it. So it was a queenless little cluster. Get that hive beetle. That's weird, unless she's out mating right now. So there's no sense in doing anything with this. I should just combine it with another one of those weak hives over there. Look on here again. Well, that's odd. Look down in here for... I don't know why there'd be 2 clusters out there on the ground without a queen. But they sure marched right in this nuke, and they stayed with it. Okay, so we have us a queenless little nuke with a little tiny swarm there. So they're not going to make it that way. They need a queen. There's no need in requeening this in July for just that small amount of bees. So probably what I'll do is transplant them over in that nuke number 1 or number 5 over there. And I'll leave this nuke here so any field bees that come back I can transplant them again. So we really didn't accomplish anything. Came down with a plan, but the bees had a different plan. That's how it usually goes. But we did see the results of the honey in the huge swarm hive, and they're ready to harvest. So gonna wait 1 more week, so any more uncapped honey, the bees will get it all capped off good, and it'll be 3rd week of July we'll harvest and pull our honey frames. And that's about it for this video. So give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.